Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to the Land of Korean Cinema. I finally finished dodging a game, so let's do this. This review is spoiler-free. The show stars Lee Jung-jae, Park Hae-soo starred in Prison Playbook, Chung Ho-yeon, Oh Young-soo, Ho Sang-tae who played in Beyond Evil recently, Anupam Tripathi, and a few hundred more. Literally. Lee Jung-jae plays someone with an insane amount of depth. One day he gets recruited along with 455 other people to play old child games on an unknown island. But there's a little twist unknown to everybody. If you're out of the game, you f***ing die right then and there. But if you survive 6 games, you get a ridiculous amount of money. This show has a massive hype around it now, it's a huge hit everywhere, so the question is, does it live up to the hype? My answer is, eventually yes. In my opinion, Squid Game is a show you have to watch until the very end to truly appreciate. It's only 9 episodes anyway. But throughout the first 8 episodes I sort of had a love-hate relationship with this show, so let me try to explain all that, and also how the show completely reshaped itself for me eventually. Before I say anything, I gotta admit that Squid Game is sort of addictive. A little, a tad bit, a tiny bit. Whenever an episode ended, I just wanted to watch the next one, regardless of what I thought about that particular episode. So yeah, I do understand the hype around it. I'm pretty sure you already know that a certain part of this show is a blood-infested, merciless carnage with people dropping dead left and right and blood splashing everywhere. But is it that makes the show? Well, sure, yeah, that's part of it, I wouldn't deny it. But there's more. First off, Squid Game is basically impossible to categorize. But the more I thought about it, the word satire came to mind. I think this show is very much satirical. You can think of it as a thriller, an action drama, a survival show, but if you look at the context, it's very much a satire, with a hint of black comedy. A lot of the scenes that should be shocking are actually quite hilarious in a weird, grotesque way. I mean, just think about it, you're playing a child game, but if you're out, somebody will fucking shoot you in the head. I mean, it's terrible, but also kinda hilarious. But my favorite thing in this department was the announcer lady's voice. She sounded exactly like the announcers on the subway or other public transport vehicles. She's pre-recorded, she speaks very formally and very politely. And as the bodies are dropping, you can hear 158번 탈락, 239번 탈락, 돌아가셨으면 움직이지 마세요. Okay, I made up the last part, but the show is so over the top with its violence that it becomes comical in a really uncomfortable way, which happens to be right up my alley. I also think that although Squid Game is not the best Korean show ever, it's one of the most important, and it all has to do with its depiction of violence. If you're a regular watcher of Korean dramas, you know that they work under certain limitations. Even a show like Mouse, which has a really twisted story, is pretty safe in terms of its visual presentation. I mean, in most Korean shows, when somebody picks up a knife, the blade gets censored out, you know? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely not advocating violence, I'm just saying that art should not be compromised. And a lot of dramas like Mouse or Beyond Evil, for example, really could have benefited from the kind of visual freedom that Squid Game has. And I mean, when it comes to movies, they don't hold back at all, just think of I Saw the Devil, Asura, City of Madness, or Monster. I know that TV is a different medium, but Korea, you have to figure this one out. But just think about it. If Squid Game didn't came out on Netflix, I think we'd have a very different show now. And I'm glad we have this one. I also really appreciated that the show didn't only try to rely on the game bits, and the creators tried to create as many actual characters as they could. Obviously, you can create 450 well-fleshed out characters, but I mean... 427번 탈락! But seriously, it was great to see that the show actually set up the main character before the whole thing. In that sense, episode 2 might be make or break for some, because in episode 1 you get a really good taste of this whole game playing thing, but episode 2 is all about building character. Not just the main one, but 5 or 6 others. And it may come across as boring to some, but I thought it was very important. It made us understand how people could end up participating in a crazy thing like this better. Speaking of characters and the main character, I saw Lee Jung-jae in quite a lot of movies. He had a pretty risky role in the movie Method, for example, and I always liked his acting, but this is easily his best performance I've seen. Usually he plays really strong characters who carry themselves with pride, and here he's the complete opposite. So much so that I didn't even recognize him at first. This is his most vulnerable role I've seen. He has a dramatic side I've never seen before. Not only was it refreshing, it was really good. Also, whoever designed the sets deserve a massive praise. The games take place at a huge facility with lots of different rooms for the different games, hallways, VIP rooms, and they were incredibly detailed and stylish. Squid Game also juggles many themes along the way. Selfishness, greed, desperation, the divide between rich and poor, the fact that the everyday man is basically disposable, the overall nature of society, and probably 1,000 more I can think of now. It's one of the show's strengths, but also one of its weaknesses. As I was watching Squid Game, I felt like the show doesn't really commit itself to any of its themes. It introduces them and then kinda leaves them hanging. And just like the show, this review is supposed to be watched till the very end, so don't kill me yet. In this sense, episode 7 was my absolute least favorite. It really tried to show us the divide between the rich and poor, but it was done in such a cliched way with such annoying characters that I pretty much hated it. Not the whole episode, but a huge chunk of it. I know why it's there, I just wish it was handled a little differently. Squid Game also has a lot of influences from other movies, The Hunger Games, Battle Royale, or a little-known movie, The Balco Experiment, or many other survival movies. With the exception that here the participants are not killing each other. Or are they? And strangely enough, a movie like Hostel is also not far away from the core theme of Squid Game. And in terms of its visual style, a lot of times I had serious Wes Anderson vibes. There's a whole way the characters have to go through to get to wherever the next game will take place. And the way the whole thing is designed and filmed just screams Wes Anderson. And not only that, but all the symmetrical shots too, which strangely almost disappear from the show after a while. I also found the characters boring in the long run. Wait, no, boring isn't the right word. I just didn't really care for anybody, you know? Especially after I realized that the outcome of each game is pretty predictable. It was like, that person, and that person will live, and the rest all just 78번 탈락. Granted, with so many people, it's impossible to truly give focus to each sort of important character, but just overall, I didn't really find anyone interesting, not even the main character. Especially after I've heard about his gambling past, I was like, why should I care for this character? But what bothered me the most was the behavior of the participants. I don't know about you, but in a situation like this, I'd be freaking the fuck out 24/7. But these people seem to be pretty okay. I mean, sure, they are nervous during the games. Some people do break here and there, but for the most part, they seem pretty fine to me, at least regarding the seriousness of the situation. And I think that this is a huge missed opportunity. Also, there are so many conveniences regarding the outcome of the games that it made me wonder whether the organizers are actually prepared for every kind of scenario. Honestly, a lot of times it just seemed like that things happen the way they do because the writer wants it to happen that way. I mean, that's the case with every script, but it was really transparent here. Oh, and Kong Yu only has a cameo in the show. He appears in episode 1 and I was like, oh, Kong Yu, that's Kong Yu. This show just got a lot better. And then he's off. Thanks a lot. But then, there's a character called the Frontman. Oh yeah, a lot of people work at this place. They all wear the same stupid outfit with their faces covered and stuff. But the Frontman has a different outfit. And even though the staff members speak with their voices distorted, I recognize the Frontman's voice. I was like, that sounds like that very famous actor that I really like. And it sure was him. It was cool. So up until episode 9, I was really on and off with Squid Game, while also being kind of addicted to it. But then episode 9 felt very different right from the beginning. That's when the last game happens and I absolutely loved it. But there's so much more in that episode. Basically everything that was lacking for me in the show came together seamlessly in the last episode. That episode is surprisingly intimate. When I say intimate, I mean it's very personal, and in a weird way, truly universal. The first half of it really made me question whether we as individuals are running after the right things or not. Because we're all running after something. I mean, we want to achieve something. The question is, what? Because once you've achieved it, there's going to be a road behind you, and the real question is whether that road was worth it or not. Can you look in the mirror or not? And then there's also a twist, and that's what really made the show for me. Looking back on the whole thing after that, there are so many things that are given a different meaning. So I suggest you pay attention while watching the show because the reward is huge. And that's when I realized that most of my problems with the show were intentionally avoided being saved for the last episode. It was so satisfying. Squid Game is a show that knows how to end. The last episode made everything work for me. It deepened the whole show so much. That's when I realized that all of the little themes the show was juggling are part of a much bigger picture, and it was actually that bigger picture the writer committed himself to. Really smart. So if you're into a thought-provoking, sometimes grotesquely funny, bloody carnage which might leave you thinking about a lot of things, yeah, go watch Squid Game. Since it doesn't hold back on its visuals, it might be shocking to some people, so be careful if you can't handle it. My problems with the characters still stand, and I still don't like episode 7, but Squid Game stuck a perfect landing, and because of that I'm gonna give it 90%. Like I said, it's not the best Korean show ever, but it's really good and it's really important. I just hope that this opens a lot of doors for future show creators in Korea, so unleash the writers and directors! 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. 그리고 좋아요 버튼 눌러주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye!